The other day I went through the Sword and Shield era of booster boxes, talking about basically what's going on in the market, and now's a really good time to pick up Sword and Shield era booster boxes. However, Scarlet and Violet is the talk of the town right now, with brand new sets releasing and some exciting sets coming. What has been going on in the market regarding booster boxes? There are lots of talks about reprints on the horizon, more restocks of these sets and their booster boxes. Will it be enough? When are they coming? How big will it be? We don't really know just yet. But now is still a good time to pick up a bunch of these sets. Whether you like it or not, we cannot deny it is performing very well, with some sets like Twilight Masquerade and Paldea Evolved really just pushing through and just blowing up, really, across the board, which is incredible. Especially Twilight Masquerade. That one has kind of taken not only me by surprise, but also has outperformed all the other sets, which is just absolutely incredible. So today we'll be looking at the US market and the UK market on what has been going on Scarlet and Violet, and give you guys my opinion on whether or not these are good to invest in and is now a great time to pick these up. So let's jump into the first one. Starting things off, we have Scarlet and Violet base. This is the base set booster box. Look, Scarlet and Violet base isn't necessarily the best one to pick up. It is definitely the cheapest to pick up, so that has something going for it. But I think if you're going to spend roughly $100, I think there's going to be better options out there. Let's take a look at the price of this. Anyway, we're looking around about $92 for this set, which is actually cheap, to be honest. To have a booster box that's under $100, even though it is the base set, is still relatively cheap. And we're looking at, most recent sold $90. We got the lowest sale price was $73 and the highest was $130. There's been a lot of these sold recently, but over the past 3 months, you can see this dropped by about 4%. We get a better picture. We go back a whole year. Don't forget this set's been out for a while. It has gone up, by about 5%, which is not a huge amount, but it has gone up on the year. Not a lot of this set's been sold really much at the moment, mainly because I think a lot of people are spending their money elsewhere. But we got to look at like the worst sets in previous eras and where they are now. You go back to Sun and Moon base. Sun and Moon base wasn't very good, but it was still a lot more expensive than what it was when it came out. Same with like Crimson Invasion. You move to Sword and Shield. All right, Sword and Shield base has performed very well. That was mainly due to availability during the pandemic and so on. But not only that, you then look at a weaker set like Dance of Blaze. Dance of Blaze is around $150, so it has gone up, gained traction from that $100 mark. And even Battle Styles. Battle Styles as well has been performing sitting around about $130, so that has also moved up. So yes, there is gains to be made with the Scarlet and Violet base. Most of the time, booster boxes over a longer period go above their MSRP. Most of the time. I'm trying to think if there's actually any booster boxes that hasn't gone past their MSRP. I don't believe there hasn't. I don't believe there isn't. I think every single booster box from every set that I can think of has surpassed its MSRP. MSRP of Scarlet and Violet went up, so you could be seeing this booster box, reaching the highs of 140, 150, maybe even 160. So yes, it's not going to be as crazy high numbers as you're going to see probably with some other sets in Scarlet and Violet. But even if you bought it at $90, the risk is quite low with this set. Now over here in the UK, we've had a Scarlet and Violet base set booster box going for around £94. That was recently sold, the filming of this video, which is on the 19th. So it has actually gone up a little bit. I remember picking up booster boxes of this for around 85 at one point in certain sales. 90 was roughly the estimate price, but £94 is about right. So if you can get this for under 100, I still think it's pretty good. I mean, I have a couple of boxes. I'm probably not going to go for the full 6, but I do feel like this is a low risk, but with quite a low ceiling. Next up, we've got Paldea Evolved, arguably one of the best sets in the Scarlet and Violet era. Now, I actually called this as the best set in the era. I think when 151 came out, I was like, you know what? 151 is an absolute powerhouse, but it's a specialty set. It doesn't have booster boxes. So I was like, you know what? I think Paldea Evolved will be the best booster box set at the time. I think my opinion is going to change moving forward. I still think it's going to be up there, but right now I think it's probably Twilight Masquerade. But Paldea Evolved, it has been over a year since this set came out. We're looking around $143, So we're really starting to see this climb. I mean, if you think about it, this is pretty much near MSRP. It's pretty crazy, you know, that it's only been out a year or just over a year, and we've been seeing it rise. Is there going to be a reprint coming the end of the year to affect this? Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. If there is going to be a reprint, I don't think it's going to move much. Maybe drop by $10 to $20, but then it will bounce back pretty quick. You know, I think it will probably bounce back twice as hard, because the likelihood of it getting reprinted again would become less and less. So keep that in mind. I don't think picking this up for 140 or so is a bad idea. So over the past 3 months, it's gone up by nearly 12%. But if you go back the past year, bearing in mind the set has been released over a year, we were looking at $90 a box. You know, back a year ago, you were looking around $90 a box, and now look, it's gone up by 55%. And you can see how many units have sold. It is sold a lot less than it used to when it obviously in its earlier days. So we're looking at the market price here on the 1 year snapshot. We've got $77 is the lowest sale price and $150 for the high sale price. And you're looking at around 100, well, it says listed median of $150. Here's the thing, it is great, right? Over here in the UK, we'll take a look in a minute, but it's a lot cheaper over here still. You can get Paldea Evolved quite easily. Don't forget Paldea Evolved, there is a lot less Paldea Evolved in supplemental products, whether it's collection boxes, tins. For some reason, the Pokemon Company just didn't put Paldea Evolved in a lot of these products, so keep that in mind. The Magikarp is proving really strong. You got the Iono, you got some amazing illustration rares in the set as well. It is a home run set. I think it's a very, very good one. It's got a big chase card, quite a few good, high, valuable cards in the set that's over that $30 range as well. This, in my opinion, is an A+ set. I think it's absolutely incredible, and I think it will be one of the top dogs, once it's no longer in print. Over here in the UK, we've got Paldea Evolved booster box here, sold for $95. Let's see what we've got one here. That was best offer accepted at $105, so it might have been a little bit less than that. Let's see if we can find another one. We've got a half booster box there for $50. Case for $650, including postage. Let's see if we can find another booster box. That one's opened. We've got 103, 104. That one was from Australia, so that one's a bit more pricey. 108. So yeah, you're looking anywhere between 105 maybe to like 110 for a booster box. I mean, I've been picking them up for about 110 roughly, a booster box, which I think is a very, very good deal right now, which is good. I think if you can pick this up for under 120, I think it's gonna be good. Like I said, if a reprint comes here in the UK, it might drop to like 100, but you know, it just makes it even more of a reason to pick it up. Next up, we got Obsidian Flames. Obsidian Flames is an interesting one because it's arguably one of, if not the worst set in the Scarlet and Violet era. You know, the biggest chase card is a Charizard, is worth about $40, and then after that, the rest of the set is absolutely terrible in value anyway. And it's kind of sad. I mean, I kind of talked about this set being Darts Ablaze 2.0, and I kind of hit the nail on the head, right? You know, apart from the Charizard VMAX in Darts Ablaze, the rest of the set's pretty weak, and Obsidian Flames is following the same route. Small set, easy pull rates, and apart from the big Charizard or the couple of the other Charizards, the rest of the set doesn't have a lot going. Beautiful artwork in the set. The Ninetales illustration rare is amazing. The Pidgey lineup is amazing. But for some reason, I think due to easy pull rates, it is absolutely hammered, this poor set. But it's still $108. It is actually climbing. As far as the sealed product's concerned, it doesn't care. You know, it doesn't really matter. We go back a year, and this booster box has gone up by nearly 10%, which is actually pretty impressive. So yeah, you could pick this up, you know, for around 100 to 110, I think is a reasonably good price. And you're looking here, lowest sale price at $80, highest sale price at $140. Look, even with Darts Ablaze being, in my opinion, worse than this, and that's $150, this has room to grow. Again, ceiling's not going to be very high like Scarlet and Violet base, but, you know, for $100 or so, this might be okay. Over here in the UK, Obsidian Flames, we've got best offer accepted here, 90, best offer accepted 100. I think it's around about £100, you know, give or take. We've got loads of different ETPs there. That one was 124, so that's quite expensive. We've gone here for 90, best offer accepted. I think it's reasonably cheap. That's a whole mixture of sets there. We don't really want that. £90 there. So yeah, you're probably looking around about 90 to £100 a box. 100 there. So yeah, around about 100 to £90 a box, which is about right. That's what I expect from Obsidian Flames. Like I say, again, another set where it's got the low risk, but also a low ceiling for the future, so keep that in mind. Up next, we got Paradox Rift. I really rate Paradox Rift. I think it's a really good set. Got some fantastic illustration rares, special illustration rares. We've seen cards, really do climb, especially the illustration rares. It's just absolutely performing well. Pull rates are quite tough. They started getting a little bit more tricky when Paradox Rift came about, and we're getting much more larger sets and a larger pool of cards to try and get those hits from. So $102 right now, so it's finally tipped over that $100 range. This set, I believe, that hasn't been out a year. It might have been out a year by now. Over the past year, it has dropped by about 4%. So it's dropped a little bit, but it has bounced back from its low of $90. So keep that in mind. Lowest sold price was $74, highest was $144. That's quite pricey. But overall, I think Paradox Rift is a very good one. I think middle of the road set for me, better than Obsidian, better than Scarlet and Violet base. Not quite as good as Paldea Evolved, but I think for $100 or roughly $100, I think this is one of the best sets in the Scarlet and Violet era to pick up. I really do. I think it has that potential to grow and has a much higher ceiling than something like Obsidian or Scarlet and Violet base. Paradox Rift booster boxes, we've got 2 here for about 180, so you look around about 90 or just under, or including postage just over 90. 2 here for 175 or 180, so 90 a box, which is pretty reasonable. Half booster box there for 45, so you can get 2 of those, that'd be 90. Looking about 100. So you look around about 90 to £100 a box. Fantastic. In my opinion, I think this is way better than picking up Obsidian or even Scarlet and Violet base. I think the ceiling for, this set is going to be much higher than something like Scarlet and Violet base or even Obsidian Flames. I think it's just great, right? You got, like I say, really great lineup of cards, tougher pull rates. I think overall just more people enjoyed opening up Paradox Rift, which will help it in the future because it will make it more desirable, especially with the cards that are in this set. Then we've got Temporal Forces, which is actually one of my picks. If I had to name like a dark horse, as it were, Temporal is the one that I would go for. I think is a great set. Good, strong performing special illustration rares. It's a large set as well. On top of that, you got some good, nice illustration rares on top of the SIRs, which really does help. We look around about $105 for this booster box, so just over the $100 mark. Again, really somewhat affordable compared to some of the other booster boxes, especially when we look back at the Sword and Shield, where the Sword and Shield was creeping up and becoming more and more expensive. At the moment, things are starting to sell, and on top of that, if a reprint does come, the price is going to drop slightly, maybe $5 it'll drop or something like that. It's not going to crash or go crazy, but it will bounce back. It's a very strong performance set. People do like it, and since the release of this set, we've been seeing it fall by 26%. Of course, that's the crazy pre-order prices, but overall, I do feel like this is going to be a very good one to pick up. That's what I said, dark horse. This would be one of my personal picks that I think will do well regarding sealed product and investing down the line. But yeah, I think Temporal is just such a good set. Over here in the UK, we got a Temporal Forces box here for 95, including postage, which is pretty good. We got £100, including the postage there. We have a sealed, well, not sealed case, but a case of it for 620, so just over, £100 a box for that one, which again is not too bad. We have a 105 there with £10 postage, 90 plus £5. So again, you're looking under £100, around under £100 to £100 a box. And like I said, I think Temporal for me is a dark horse. I think it's going to perform very well. Big chase cards, tougher pull rates. For me, I think it's just a home run set. I really do. And we'll have to wait and see how well it will perform. But I think with this and Paradox, I think together they'll go really well. They're not going to be like a Twilight Masquerade or a Paldea Evolved, but I do think that they have a lot more room to grow than something like Obsidian Flames or even Scarlet and Violet base. Then we have Twilight Masquerade, which it's just been performing. It has been smashing things out of the park, left, right, and center. I really didn't expect this. So you're looking at $138 a box. Most recent sale was $144, highest sale was $150, lower sale was $94.50. Look, this set has just been crushing it. I mean, it hasn't even been out that long. We go back 6 months, and it hasn't really, been out that long. And it was, around $100 a box, and did actually reach a crazy high as $144. So it's settled down a little bit, but still, it's relatively expensive compared to some of the other sets. And we're looking at kind of like Sword and Shield prices. Do you know what I mean, for this set, which is pretty crazy. It is a great set. The Greninja does carry this set, but there are some nice illustration rares and special illustration rares. But it really is all about the Greninja. it is pretty much the Greninja or bust. It's going to be interesting to see if reprints do come, and if they do come, how much will they affect the price of the box. I think you might see it drop to like 115, 120, and then bounce back twice as hard as it is now. Because people like the set, the Eevee and the Greninja. People really have grown more and more fond of Twilight Masquerade, and it makes sense. Looking at Twilight Masquerade booster boxes, we had one here sold for 115 with a little bit of multi-buy special there. About 110 with postage. I'm not too sure what's going on with that one. I'm pretty sure it didn't sell for that much. 115 there. And then we've got the ones from Germany. Half booster box for 53. 105. So you're looking at Twilight Masquerade boxes really selling for anywhere between, I would say on average about 110. I've seen some places try and sell it, not on eBay, but other shops and stuff that are selling for like 120, 125 a box. But you're looking around about 110 to 115. I'd probably lean towards the 115. I think that's pretty much roughly how much I've been paying for mine, was around about 110 to 115. Look, I think a reprint isn't going to affect this much right now as it stands. I think if you can pick this up in the UK for a reasonably good price, which I think would be 115 or less, that is going to be an absolute home run. It is just outperforming, you know, not quite outperforming Paldea Evolved, but it'll get there pretty quickly. The set is not that old. It's only been out like 3 months, so it is just an absolute juggernaut, and I think it will continue to climb. The fact that we have a $300 card in the set already in 3 months is wild. So it'll be interesting to see how Twilight Masquerade will go in the future. But in my honest opinion, I think now is a very good time to pick it up. And then finally we have Stellar Crown, which is the most recent set that came out. It is coming out quite strong though, at $108. That's actually pretty decent. You know, we're having here the lowest sale price was $95, with the highest being $132. Yes, I mean, from its hyped pre-order price, it has dropped by about 17%. I mean, the set hasn't even been out that long. I mean, literally a week. But yeah, look, I think the set's kind of middle of the road. I think it's kind of like mixed in between Paradox and Temporal. You know, you could argue that it's worse than those two sets, but I think it's better than, you know, Obsidian and Scarlet Violet base for sure. Overall, I really like Stellar Crown. I think the SIRs, some of them are okay, some of them are kind of poor. I mean, of course, the Dash one's really good, and the Terrapagos is doing really well. And also on top of that, you got some nice illustration rares with the Squirrel and the Bulbasaur, which I think will carry the set in the future. And I think it's interesting that the price is $108. I do expect it to drop maybe to close to around $100 over the next week or so, but relatively cheap still. And I think that's just still a good price, of course, even though the set's just come out. Over here in the UK, booster boxes around £100. You know, pretty much £100 across the board. Even on online stores, they're roughly around 100, 105, which I think is a reasonably good price. I mean, it's pretty much, I think I'll put mine up for about 95, I think, or just over 95, which I think is a really good price. I think if you can get them for £100 or less, I know it's the brand new set, but I still think it's very good. And I think it's going to be a middle of the road set. Ceiling might not be as high in this one as compared to the others. If I had to compare it to, you know, Sword and Shield era sets, they're kind of that level, kind of like an Astral Radiant Silver Tempest kind of level, you know, kind of middle of the road. Nothing too crazy, not a Lost Origin or a Fusion or a Chillin', but definitely middle of the road. There you have it, guys. That is the Scarlet and Violet era booster boxes right now. We're not going to talk about Surge and Sparks yet, mainly because we don't really know the full set list and we don't know too much information on that set. So it'll be interesting to see the prices, pull rates and stuff like that for that set moving forward. So, you know, tough pull rates really do help these sets. You know, Paradox, Temporal, Twilight and even Stellar Crown have tougher pull rates than the predecessors it were, but that doesn't necessarily hurt Paldea Evolved. Paldea Evolved is doing very well. Paldea Evolved is also a really large set, which does help keep the value of the cards up, especially the Magikarp. But overall, I think right now, if you're going to pick up any, even with potential reprints on the horizon, Paldea Evolved and Twilight Masquerade have slightly higher risk because they're a little bit more expensive, but I think because the ceiling on those are going to be much higher, that risk is not too bad. And on top of that, I think you know, Obsidian and Scarlet Violet base, even though they're cheap or just slightly cheaper than some of the other sets, I would probably avoid them in all honesty. If you're going down the investor route, I would, you know, lean towards Twilight, Paldea, Temporal, Paradox and Stellar Crown, because I think all of those sets have a much higher ceiling and some of them have less risk than others. If you made it far into the video and you've enjoyed it, make sure to smash the like button and make sure to subscribe for more Pokemon content. Let me know your thoughts on the market down in the comments. Which ones are you looking to pick up and invest in? For me, it's definitely, you know, Paldea Evolved and Twilight. And like I say, probably not Obsidian and probably not Scarlet Violet base. Stellar Crown, I'm probably going to grab maybe 3 or 4 boxes. I'm not gonna go for the full 6 that I normally go for. But Twilight and Paldea, Paradox and Temporal, I would probably go for the full 6. Maybe even a little bit more with Twilight and Paldea Evolved and Temporal, because I don't know why Temporal really does grow on me. But that's it for me, guys, in today's video. If you want more Pokemon content, make sure to click the video on the screen, and of course, make sure to hit that subscribe button. But thank you all so much for watching. As always, you guys are legends, and I'll see you in the next one.